Hi everyone, I'm at home. I thought I would make you guys a video, kind of explain what Access is. My dogs are behind me playing, so if you hear any growling, I'm perfectly safe from giant bears, but I have two little, I guess you'd call them wiener dogs or Dachshunds, little chocolate long hairs. But anyway, they're in the background playing pretty heavy. So anyway, let's get started with this program, Access. And it's owned by Microsoft. If you look down at the bottom of my screen, you'll see I have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, Outlook, Access, and Access actually goes with that whole Office suite. So I'm going to open it up, and we're just going to start from scratch. Now the main thing about an Access table is pretty much just you can put anything in there about, say, well, I'll just show you. Let me pretend like I am opening a business, and say this business is a juke joint, barbecue juke joint. So let's say I want to put in all of my suppliers that I buy food from. Okay, so I'm going to, like right here, the very first one, I'm just going to put a last name and as a label, and I'll put the people in a moment, but this is the information I want to know. Usually it's short text, and for this video you don't actually have to follow along on your own computer, just kind of watch. Street address, you can always change things up later. City, state, phone. Now don't put, later on you'll learn this, but don't put number down for phone. That's actually numbers that you calculate with. And then I can even add some notes, or yes or no, or let's do a, well, I could do a yes or no and then just say are they current? I don't know, we could say yes, they're current. Okay, so what I do, just simply go in here and start adding. So we're going to John Smith, and he lives at 111 North Main Street in Odessa, Kansas. And then 555 555, oh, and then this person's current. Now then I put in another person, Doe, Jane, and she's going to have an address. So I'll pause and add some more people so you don't have to watch. Okay, so I added some more names in there to save you some time. I want to also over here make this field notes. So say for instance in here where John Smith, I might buy, say I told you I was going to do a juke joint, he might be my music person, and then Jane Doe might be my barbecue meat supplier, and then I might have my supplier for all of the wood and decorations. It's my grandpa's name, he actually ran a sawmill. And then I might have another company that would supply everything for the restaurant, such as, I mean, you can imagine for a restaurant or a place like this there's going to be a ton, but let's just say that they will help us supply all of our oh, I'll just put supplies. Okay, so what I've done is I've created, and it's very simple, right here in the middle, it's just a table. Now just like in Word or PowerPoint, you'll see a ribbon across the top. Now what I can do is I can very simply, with this table selected, I could create a query. Now query is a fancy word. It's the same thing as saying question. A lot of times you know, these tech people, you'll hear them use the fancy word query, and notice that query and question both begin with QU, and technically that's what you're doing. So say for instance I want to run a query, and don't worry about all the settings right now, that you'll learn that later, and I want to, in this query, it looks like the table, by the way, you'll see I'm going back and forth, it looks like it, but in the query I can actually ask a question. So I can say that I want people who are from Kansas. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to go over here to the query, and I'm going to go in this background, and where it says state, it has to say Kansas. Okay. Notice that now my query only shows people from Kansas. Now my table, sorry, went back and forth. I should go back and forth here. My table still has everybody, but my table 1 query has just the Kansas people. So what's really cool is, do you want to say the changes? Yes. So what's really cool is I can go over here. Yes. Oh, for pity's sake, they got it. Okay, so in this query, I'm going to rename it that these are my Kansas people. Okay. Now, I can also do another query and ignore this right now. That's all right. This is something you'll come to later. Okay, now this query right here looks like the table, but I want to ask it a question. Say I want everyone from Missouri. And I'm like, oh no, that looks like a problem there. I've got to fix that to match. So there's a way to filter that out later, but that's okay. So in this query, I'm going to go behind the scenes here, and in the state, the criteria is Missouri. So there you go. I just have my 2 Missouri people. Now there's a way to do these little input masks to where it would be people could only write MO from state. You guys can be learning that kind of stuff. But what's really cool about this is oh my goodness, sorry about this. That's one thing that's annoying about Access. It wants you to see, you just have to hit save on everything. But anyway, so I can go over here and rename this one, say that this is my Missouri query. Now, what's really cool is if I go to my database, which is technically my table, I'll rename that so you guys can see. Oh, bear with me a second. I'm going to have to, oops, bear with me. Hold on, pause it till I get that back. I accidentally hit that arrow and it unpinned over here. Okay, so I want to rename that table just for the sake of this video. Let me see, what should we call it? We'll just call it the database table. There we go. So in my database table, I have these 4 people. And then in Kansas, when I click on that, there's my Kansas people. In Missouri, there's my Missouri people. So I'm going to go back over here to my database, and I am going to add, see, notice we have 2 from each state. I'm going to add, say, like this person, I'm just going to, it's Professor X's great-great-grandchildren, okay? Anyway, and his first name, and you can see the city, and Missouri, and then I'm going to, you know, 417-777-7777. I think that's a lawyer in town. Don't pay attention to that. But anyway, now watch whenever I save this. Let me see if I can go over here. This is Missouri. Oh, I misspelled it. Okay. And save it. And let me go over here to Missouri, and I need to refresh this. So refresh, and notice my Missouri people will always come up from now on in my Missouri query. Okay, there's Kansas and there's Missouri. So what's really cool now is I can from now on just go in and add people to this database, and I never have to go look up my Missouri people or my Kansas people. I can look up everything by whether or not I could actually make a query on how many people live in Odessa, or I can have a query on who has barbecue in it. So I can get really fancy with these queries. Now there's 2 other items that Access does. It has an input and an output item. So in other words, you can get a form, and so I go to this database table, I create a form, and it very simply fills in this table. Okay, so let me save this. I'll have to exit out and let me save it. Yes, I want to save it. Okay. So now you see a form over here. So what's really cool is, say for instance, I own this business and I want to have charge of this table right here, this database table. I don't want my secretary that I have to screw it up. So what I've decided to do instead is make it to where he or she can only go to this database table form, and they can actually go in and fill in this form and search for people back and forth. So they can you can give the form to where you can have your employees fill it out, and then it'll automatically populate your table here, which will then automatically show up in a report or a query that you have asked it, and it'll automatically populate it up. So you can see when you do these access activities, these can be extremely extensive. Let me find a picture real quick for you of one that's pretty extensive. Okay, I went online and I looked. Over here on this particular picture, you can see an Access database that somebody has made, and it looks like some issues, open issues, related issues, and then it has reports, so where you can have the issue detail report based off of just certain fields you select out of your table. So there's, let me see another picture of one that might be, somebody else has made one, city, country, and province. So these are just tables that they made. Okay, that was Tater. That's my dog Tater. Here's another one. Let's get this one. Tables, queries, forms, reports. There you go. Let me see here. Somebody else, let me see. I'm just trying to find a good one. This one has all reports. Okay, so what Access is in essence is a big table like you have in, like when you fill out something in Excel, except for the fact is you don't do a lot of formulas in here. You can go into your forms and you can input data. You could actually even create a report. And you could play with these fields and move them all around. When you hit save, then you'll see reports. So here's your table. That's all you fill in. Queries are asking questions. Forms means put stuff into the table, and reports means it'll take stuff out and give it to your customers or yourself. So the reason why I wanted so bad to show you guys Access this assignment was because that you can use this program in answering questions and data for your businesses. So I cannot imagine having you guys not try Access at least once in this class. So keep in close contact with me and I'll help you out as much as I can, but I really think you'll get a lot out of this assignment.